I can hear the demons call when they do what they do. And now I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. Just gotta get through, I just gotta get through. Cause I feel like taking off, find a place with a view. The pain is never gonna stop if it's controlling you. I know that time can heal it all, I just gotta get through. Sometimes I feel like all is lost, but I know it's not true. I wanna put up all my walls cause I'm not in the mood, but then I cut myself off from the rest of the room. I know that time can heal it all if you're patient and soon it can all be worth it, all the searching. Pain is never really permanent, but damn it hurts, man. I could feel all of the turbulence and it's concerning. I've been searching.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to the Philadelphia Eagles versus Jacksonville Jaguars talk. I'm here with my guy Andrew from the Jaguar podcast. How you doing, man? And where can they find you on social media?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Jaguar Podcast. You can find me on YouTube as well. I got my own YouTube channel. And you can find me on Apple Podcasts and pretty much wherever you find podcasts, the Jaguar Podcast.
All right, that sounds good. For a second there in your outro when it said Duval, I lost it because I used to watch what is it? Wild 'N Out. There was a guy named Duval. So I was just like, I was done. But I just gotta ask you this. Whenever I have a guest on, I just like to know a little bit about them and their fandom. So how did you become a Jaguars fan? And who's your favorite Jaguars player of all time?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I'm a Navy brat. I used to live in Florida, in Jacksonville, in Orange Park, and then moved up and down the East Coast pretty much. But was pretty much growing up when Jacksonville was incepted as a expansion team in 1995. So I became a fan. I'm a Florida Gators fan too, and so naturally there was a progression there of being just a Jaguars fan. And my favorite Jaguar of all time is Fred Taylor, running back for the Jaguars.
Yeah, for me it would have been Maurice Jones-Drew or Byron Leftwich because I just grew up watching him. So it's just
you can't sleep on MJD, man. He's a great player.
Yeah, so we all know this is going to bring it up. I mean, we're going to have to be talking about this guy, and might as well just start off with him. That's Doug Peterson. How has he been coaching so far? Because as an Eagles fan, I would like to know.
I think he's been great, man. I mean, anybody honestly could be better after, the disastrous 2021 season of Urban Meyer, just toxic culture, drama, filled locker room. And now we actually get a coach who knows how to build a culture, who knows how to run a great locker room. And I think the players love him, man. And I'm hearing really good things out of Jacksonville, great things from the players, and you're seeing it on the field. I mean, it's just like it's unbelievable how this team is looking right now compared to last year.
Yeah, it's a huge turnaround from your off-season, your head coach now, a Super Bowl winning coach. So it's just like, I like what the Jaguars are doing. I really do. And I just got to say this. Doug Peterson, he was always that quarterback coach. He was always that guy, with Carson Wentz. It didn't really work out with Jalen Hurts, but we're going to be talking about this later with Trevor Lawrence. So I think he's steering him in the right direction, which is good. Actually, we're going to talk about that now. So how is the impact on Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, it's just like you said, right? Doug Peterson, he's a quarterback's, coach, really. I mean, an ex-quarterback himself, played with, some really good quarterbacks, Brett Favre being one of them, and is a seasoned veteran from a player's perspective and also a coaching perspective, right? I mean, I think he was assistant coach for some pretty great teams too over in Kansas City, and then got the job over in Philly, and the story there. Won the Super Bowl for him, and almost won it. Almost went to the Super Bowl again the next year. So, I mean, yeah, I think he's doing a great job with Trevor, and Trevor needs this because, I mean, you really can't count 2021 as his rookie season, given, like I said, Urban Meyer and the staff that was there.
Right. And actually, here's a funny story. we were getting our kitchen redone. And this guy is actually, his wife is friend with Doug Peterson's wife. So I actually got a book signed by Doug Peterson. It's in my room. So it's
That's
just
cool.
like, it's just one of those things you can't get rid of. You just can't. You got to worship it. So
Yeah.
it's and correct me if I'm wrong here. Is he fifth all time in Jaguars wins already? That's what I've been seeing on Twitter. Am I wrong?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to go back and check that.
Because if that's true, what is it? Only two?
Yeah. We've been bad for a while, so it's a breath of fresh air to start off the season with some wins. I mean, I think honestly, the NFL, I'm very surprised on some of the teams and how they're playing. The Colts being one of those teams, right, where we just shut them out. So the Jags are surprising a lot of people, and hopefully we can keep the winning streak going there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you guys are first in your division, like we are. So that division you're in is in so like many directions right now. I don't know where they're going. Like
Yeah,
that division alone.
it's crazy. I can't really tell you like. I mean, of course, we're leading the division right now, but I mean, the Colts beat the Chiefs like last week.
Yeah.
I mean, and we shut them out, the week before that. So it's very wishy washy. And then the Titans, they got blown out by the Bills. So I mean, some of these teams like the Titans and the Colts will have games. I feel like where they just won't show up, and then what do you know later? They're still in the running for a wild card or the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's any given Sunday. It's
Yeah,
any given Sunday.
exactly.
It's just like insane. So we got to talk about our quarterbacks here. Jalen Hurts with Trevor Lawrence. You brought up some things like we can't count last season as his rookie season. So it's kind of like Jalen Hurts in a way. Like his first year, he only had played 4 games or something like that. And then he just built up. Now he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. So for me, it's just like when I started watching Trevor Lawrence, I'll admit I was not a big fan of him. I kind of thought he was overrated. And I don't know if you saw the movie Draft Day. Did you see that?
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh, okay. There was a quarterback by the name of Bo Callahan, but yeah, you wouldn't get the joke then. But yeah, but the potential is there in Trevor Lawrence. It's just like Jalen Hurts is right there. And you got Christian Kirk. So how has Trevor Lawrence been in the first 3 games?
The first game was he was a little rocky. I mean, and I understand that. It's new system coming out, playing an away game against Washington. So I mean, he's got to dust get the dust off there, and he's gonna have plays that weren't good, and some of the accuracy was kind of questionable in the first game. But in the second game, they really looked more in unison, right? Like they were just kind of gelling well together. Trevor and the wide receivers and the offensive line, and James Robinson got going, and so even Travis Etienne, the last game, he looked really 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 good that drive in the second half, like late in the second half, where they were just feeding him the ball, and he was taking snaps too. They kind of had him in like a wildcat kind of setup, and he was running the ball. So there's some interesting things that we're seeing in this scheme that Doug Peterson and Press Taylor are kind of constructing. But I think Trevor's doing really well, man. He's stepping up in the pocket. Like he looked really good in the LA game, and I'm really excited to see if we can come into the Eagles game and pass protect. I think we have a pretty good shot at putting a lot of points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, we can't sleep on you guys. You guys are top 10 in offense and defense, so your team is something to be reckoned with, and the Eagles can stop that. I'm just going to throw that out there. But with Jalen Hurts in his game right now, it's just incredible. Just like his mechanics in general, like over 300 yards in the last 2 games. He's running the ball less. His aim is great. His accuracy is perfect. I'm not the biggest Jalen Hurts fan, so for me, saying all this good stuff about him, it's just like he's got to be doing something right. Like last year, he was just not that good, in my opinion. Like he did get better as the year went on, but this year, during this off season, it's just like everything changed in a blink of an eye. So Trevor Lawrence, did his career like change in a blink of an eye, or just like an off season?
I think a lot of it has to do, like you were saying, with the system. I think the system before him, like Urban Meyer's system, was just so bad. And I'm a Florida fan. I knew a lot about Urban Meyer when he came into this job, and
Hmm.
I knew it wasn't going to work. And obviously it didn't. But I think the damage I think he left behind, and having to, Doug Peterson just has a humongous task ahead of him. And he's handling it really, really well as far as we can see. Trevor looks better. He's making throws. He's getting rid of the ball faster. I mean, I think they were clocking his release at like 3 seconds, or it was definitely more than that last season. So his reads and progressions just looking so much better, and not making some of the mistakes that he made last year. But it's really interesting you bring up Jalen Hurts because you probably don't know this. I actually wanted the Jags to draft him. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago?
Right.
Uh, and I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I mean, he plays with a lot of heart. It's kind of a little bit of an underdog story with him, with Tua being the player that he was, and then him over in Alabama, having to transfer and then going to Oklahoma. What was it? He went to, was it Oklahoma? Was
It
that it?
was Alabama, then he transferred to Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, and he really made a name for himself, and now you know coming into this season, and going back to when Doug Peterson was there, the drama that was going on between Wentz and Hurts, and then ultimately leading to the departure of Doug Peterson. It's kind of crazy now. Where this game is really a big revenge game, in my opinion, for both Jalen Hurts and Doug Peterson.
Yeah. Well, most I can see that with the drama that was back then, Hurts not getting the time to sign. But it's just like he didn't have that much time under Doug Peterson. He was only there for a couple games and Doug Peterson was out. So for
Yeah,
me, it's not really a revenge game, but it's more revenge for Doug Peterson, firing and that whole backlash. So it's just like that's the biggest thing. So how do you plan to stop Jalen Hurts? And I'll say about Trevor Lawrence.
yeah. I think it's all about. Well, I mean, it's not just one person or one position really, but I think the edge rushers, Allen and Walker, have to have good games. I mean, they have to have outside contain. They can't let Hurts get out of the pocket and take off, because he's got wheels and he can chuck the ball downfield. I mean, especially in that Washington game, he threw that bomb down the field to, I think it was it Devonta Adams, maybe, or maybe it was AJ Brown, I forget, but it was a huge gain. And like you said, Hurts has an arm really, and it's kind of interesting because I don't remember him like in college having like a great arm, and maybe the first season I didn't see him throw a lot. Like you said, he was running, so I think he's really developed his mechanics and his strength, his arm strength, because he was just chucking the ball downfield. So I think the edge rushers have to play well. The linebackers have to play well and contain as well. They can't let him get loose. And we got to jam up guys like Dallas Goddard, like your tight end. If he gets a free release out there and gets over the middle, he's going to hurt you. So
Yeah.
everybody's really got to play well, but I think it starts with the pass rush, and with Walker, Trayvon Walker, and Josh Allen.
Yeah. So for the Eagles to stop Trevor Lawrence, I mean, it's our defense. If you saw last week, we got 9 sacks. Like nine
Yeah,
sacks. I know that Commanders' offensive line is terrible. So the Jacksonville offensive line is much better than the Commanders. So I don't see us getting 9 sacks. I see us getting like, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 around there. But we got to rush Trevor Lawrence, contain him. And that's how we do it, because you see that we get all this good stuff every rush. So for me, that's basically what we got to do on forefront and to stack the box. Because your running backs are pretty decent. I like your running backs. I do. They're really
yeah.
good.
James Robinson, he's really had a great recovery coming back off that Achilles tear, and then the first 2 games really showing a lot of promise there with rushing touchdowns. He had, I think, 100 yards rushing in the last game against LA. ETN is getting better. I mean, I think he still has a lot to prove, but I think he's got a great relationship with Trevor. They played together at Clemson, so I think it's going to be a nice kind of running back combination for Jacksonville. Um, it's going to be an interesting, like a kind of a two punch, attack at the running back position. So, yeah, I think, like you said, the offensive line for Jacksonville has to block well. You guys have really good defense, especially up front. Fletcher Cox, and you have Josh Sweat, and you have some pretty good edge rushers as well. So we have to pass protect really well. We got to, especially the running backs, they're going to have to chip in there as well because you're going to send. I know you're going to be sending pressure in this game.
Yeah, we're going to be sending a lot of pressure. And that's what was the whole problem with Jonathan Gannon last year. He didn't do a lot of pressure. I know our defense wasn't good, but Jonathan Gannon didn't set him up to be good. Now, this year, with these last two games, he's been setting up perfectly. So that's why I feel really confident about this Eagles rush defense. And as you said, with Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, we still got Fletcher Cox, who's playing like his own. Brandon Graham is playing like he was younger. Again, I mean, he just won Defensive Player of the Week in the NFC. So that's got to say something. I mean, this team is looking good defensive-wise. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You guys have good linebackers, too, the Jaguars.
Yeah, Devin Lloyd was really a rookie standout.
Yeah.
I think he was rated like second best overall rookie, like in the league defensively. These past 3 games, he had 2 picks, and is great in coverage. I mean, he was trailing a tight end in the LA game like 20 yards downfield and batted the pass down. So like he's great in pass coverage, and you can't forget Foye Oluokun, who I actually had on my show. Great guy, but he's a great linebacker as well. He led the NFL in tackles the year before with the Falcons. So, I mean, this defense is, I think, designed to generate turnovers, and that's what we definitely want to do in this game.
Yeah. We got a funny comment here. Josh Allen or Josh Allen?
Yeah.
That was
Well, when we played Buffalo, we proved who the real Josh Allen was. So
Yeah, he's
pretty
actually
good
a
at that.
Bills fan, so just like
Oh,
he
okay.
went through the whole thing, whole king and caboodle. But
Okay.
I'm just saying here, that was just so funny. Like Josh Allen picked off Josh Allen, Josh Allen. I couldn't stop laughing for the rest of the week. When that
Yeah.
happened, I was just done. Like that was the best thing. So how is Josh Allen so far? Yours, actually.
He's playing, up to his potential right now. I mean, I think he got extended in the off season, so he got a nice extension, and he's earning his paycheck, man. He's getting sacked, he's getting pressure. So I think it does help as well that we have Trayvon Walker there, who may take some double teams and free up Allen to get upfield and get pressure on the quarterback. But that's probably why one of the many reasons they drafted Trayvon Walker was he's a guy who can do a lot of things. He can drop back in coverage, but Josh Allen's looking great so far.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually how is Trevor walking, but in the first game he looked like he was doing great. He would played unbelievably, and then how is he the last 2 games, week 3 and 2?
Yeah, I mean, in the Colts game he looked pretty good. I would say the first game he looked phenomenal, but the last 2 he didn't put up the stats I think that he put up in the first game with that interception and then that sack, and I think he had a forced fumble as well. But um, Josh Allen did well, so it just kind of proves my point, right? That like they're both there to kind of feed off of each other, and based on the scheme, whoever takes a double team, the other guy may get pressure upfield and be able to make plays. And Walker's one of those guys. He can do it all, man. He can rush the passer. He can he can play inside. He can drop back in coverage. I saw a pretty amazing play against LA where he was dropping back in coverage and was batting down balls. So I mean, he's really proven himself as so far as a number 1 pick.
Yeah. So my guy Randy wants to know how's Chad Muma so far?
Yeah, Chad Muma, he looked good in the preseason. I haven't seen much of him so far in the regular season, but the guy plays with a lot of heart. I had him on the podcast as well. Great
Mm.
guy. Probably a lot of people don't know this, but he has type 1 diabetes, and he's a pro athlete, and he's a big advocate for it. So he's doing a lot of great work there. But he's got a motor, man. He's a sideline to sideline player. He's making plays. So I expect him to probably be a rotational linebacker this year, maybe more of a special teams role. But I liked what I saw during the preseason, and hopefully he gets more playing time.
How old is he again? Isn't he like 23, 24?
I think so. Yeah, he's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing athlete.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. So I just gotta ask, how do you wait? Oh, there it is. Eagles run game. How do you plan your defense to stop Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, and I gotta throw in Jalen Hurts in there because he's a part of our run game.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see different schemes, right? Like
Yeah.
Mike Caldwell, who's our new defensive coordinator, who we got was over in Tampa Bay under Todd Bowles and his like defensive system. We're going to stack the box, right? We have a really good interior defensive line with Foley Fatukazi, a defensive tackle we picked up from New York Jets. We have Adam Gotsis, Devon Hamilton. It was a guy we drafted 2 years ago out of Ohio State. So they have to have good games. They have to kind of clog up that interior, let our linebackers fly around, make plays. And then really, we have to tackle too. Linebackers have to tackle Aluakon and Lloyd, and then we have to make sure Hurts doesn't do what he does best, right? He can run, he can hurt you on the outside, and he can scramble. So we just have to tackle and play good fundamental football.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Oh my God, I can't speak. Our offensive line, it's like so good this year. We have the best offensive line. So good luck with that. That's all I got to say. This offensive line, what is good about our offensive line, we don't have to have like a Saquon Barkley or a Jonathan Taylor or something like that. We need like a solid running back or something running back core, what we have. I mean, hey, I'm still not a big fan of Miles Sanders. I am not, but this offensive line makes our running backs look good. So, yeah. Randy wants to know how are your corners and safeties.
Our corners and safeties are okay. I think that's what I'm most worried about in this game. I talked about it in my game preview. It's really there's going to be some big matchups there with Devonta Smith versus Shaq Griffin or Trey Herndon. We don't know who's going to really be playing because Shaq Griffin was questionable, but Shaq Griffin was a free agent that we picked up has not lived up to his contract. So he's not playing very well. Trey Herndon's backup, so I think that worries me really is that the Eagles are going to start to pick on that matchup there. AJ Brown versus Tyson Campbell, that's a big matchup for us. I don't know. I heard some rumors that AJ Brown might not be playing, but it might be a rumor.
I mean, there was an injury report. He did not practice today. It was something personal. So
Yeah.
for me, I just like I don't know anything much about it. So if he doesn't play, I mean, we still got Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal, and our fourth or fifth, I don't even know. So it's just like our wide receiver core is that deep, it's that good. So it's just like, yeah, the corners are in for some sort of matchup. The whole Batman thing, like that. They were calling it Batman. I think Darius Slay called him like the fast Batman, the slim Batman, and it's like all that stuff. It was great. So, yeah.
I mean, your wide receiving core is dangerous. That worries me probably the most in this game, and your secondary too with Darius Slay, who I think is a great player.
That's where I was going to go next. Christian Kirk versus Darius Slay. I mean, that's a good match right there. That's going to be good. How has Christian Kirk been playing? I've been seeing him like getting open and everything, like in the middle, down. I've been seeing him getting open.
Yeah, he's getting separation and he's getting open for Trevor. They're connecting really well. I mean, he's had touchdowns, I think, in almost every game he's played so far. He's really hurting teams over the middle is where I think, I see a lot of routes that he's running over the middle. And then he just takes off. He had a couple of big catches there, one in the Washington game. So, that's going to be a huge one to look out for. I mean, Darius Slay versus Christian Kirk. If we can't get to Kirk, we still have other options. We have Marvin Jones Jr., we have Zay Jones. So, you may want to look out for, Marvin Jones Jr. versus, James Bradbury. That could be another one, right? So I think it's going to be really interesting. Like, you know, hopefully we can get open and score some points. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a battle.
So my guy Randy just pulled up the Christian Kirk stats: 18 receptions, 267 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Dang.
Yeah, I mean
Yep.
he's really trying to prove himself this year. I think he's doing a great job. You know, he got that huge contract, kind of blew up the wide receiver market. You're welcome.
I was
But
gonna ask you, is you like, how did you feel when you got all that money?
you know, I was a little concerned. You know, we haven't had a lot of success in the past couple of years with free agency. I mean, when we had Urban Meyer here, our free agency was not very good.
Right.
You know, excluding Jamal Agnew and Marvin Jones Jr. So I was a little concerned, but you know, he's really proven himself. He just has to keep it up, man. And I think he'll definitely be a player to look out for.
Yeah. So, what would you say your team's Achilles heel? The corner position, safeties, or would you say your depth overall?
Wow, that's a tough one to answer because I think you kind of picked on a bunch of different concerns. I mean, our corners and safeties, I would say, you know, my concern there would be Shaq Griffin and Rayshon Jenkins. Um, you know, I like Andre Cisco. I think he's been playing pretty well. Guy that we drafted out of Syracuse. Um, but yeah, I would say the secondary and our depth is concerning. But luckily, you know, we don't have too many people hurt going into this game.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Evan Ingram, how's he been doing? We're going to be talking about him in a little bit. So, how's he been doing?
He's really been exceeding expectations, in my opinion. I mean, I think he was known for a lot of drops
Mm,
in New York.
yes.
So he's really been pretty consistent with catching the football, and just hope that he can continue to be consistent with that because you know, drops are killer.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we loved him in New York. He kept on dropping everything. So, I was kind of bummed when he left. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, now they got to get a better tight end. So, and my guy Randy brings up Zay Jones' stats: 19 receptions, 173 yards, and a touchdown. How many
Yeah.
touchdowns does Trevor Lawrence have? Like,
Oh man,
he's
I
got
don't think I.
four right off the bat with Christian Kirk and him.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I should know that, but you know, I think Zay Jones is one of those kind of sleeper wide receivers, and he really showed himself in that game against and proved himself in that game against LA. I think you're going to be seeing more of him in the Philly game because he was just really doing a good job and caught a touchdown pass. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for Hurts, he's like, and when I talk about like the top quarterback list, my buddy sent me this. Hurts was six because he doesn't have a lot of touchdowns. Like, I believe he only has like four and through the air. So it's just like, does that ruin me? Does that affect it a little bit? Yeah. But he's going to get his. He's going to get his. I mean, Jalen Hurts got over 1,000 yards already total. So it's just like, yeah, Hurts will be fine with that. So I don't know how many touchdowns exactly, but oh, here we go. We just breathed it up a little bit, the cornerbacks. So I just want to bring up right here. It's just like with the cornerbacks, I'm just like, what do you do? I mean, James Bradbury's already got a pick six, and then you got Darius Slay, who's arguably a top 5, top 10 corner in the league, and we got a secondary with Gardner Johnson. So, is there like anything else that the wide receivers we should be looking at, or everything you said before?
Well, I think the X factor kind of wide receiver for the Jaguars is Jamal Agnew. Is a guy that's not really getting talked about a lot right now because he hasn't had a lot of touches, you know, in games. So you know, he's a guy who can kind of that X factor. He can run the ball, you know, jet sweep. He can be a running back. He can be, you know, he can be a great wide receiver too. So I think, you know, hopefully the Jaguars can work him into this game and kind of create some mismatches and surprise the Eagles defense. But yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you guys have like, you know, you have two lockdown corners. We really don't have two lockdown corners, so that's concerning. My only other guess is we kind of incorporate Darius Williams into, you know, maybe move him over to slot or substitute Griffin with Williams and kind of. I think Williams is definitely a good corner, but we're going to have to do someone's going to have to pick up the slack because, your wide receiving core is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually going to bring that up next, but it's just insane. I'm not used to having this good of a secondary since back in like 2000s, with like Troy Vincent and those guys. So for me, this is like a breath of fresh air. I'm like, Howie Roseman actually constructed our team correctly. When was the last time we've seen that?
Yeah, it's kind of like it reminds me a little bit of the Jags 2017 secondary where we had AJ Bouye and Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ramsey now.
Yeah,
he's doing okay as of late, but his prime was with you guys, so that was his prime. So, yeah, I was gonna ask you, how can the Jaguars stop this wide receiver core?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be through scheme. Got to play tight coverage. Can't give them too much, cushion. Yeah, you got to play tight on the ball, play man coverage. Safeties have to play well and help out there. Hopefully, we incorporate Darius Williams a little bit more into the scheme because we may be playing with a backup like Trey Herndon. And if Shaq Griffin's not playing, I guarantee you they're going to be targeting his side like the majority. They're gonna have a big mismatch there. So I can see it. It's either being Devonta
Smith.
Adam or Devonta Smith. Sorry,
you're good.
And then if AJ Brown doesn't play, you guys still have what, Zach Pascal and
Watkins.
Yeah, Watkins. So it's gonna be tough.
It was, when Quez Watkins caught that deep touchdown pass, and I'm like, wow, Jalen Hurts has a deep ball. And just like, man, that speed from Quez Watkins, it's insane. So as I was going to go next with like the tight ends we brought up earlier with Dallas Goedert and Evan Ingram, for the Eagles, you got to pick your poison. Like, who are you going to cover? We got so many of weapons. We got so many directions we can go to. But here's my question, though. How do you feel about Evan Ingram against our linebackers? Like with Edwards, Nakobe Dean, and those guys. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, Nakobe Dean, obviously an amazing player. It's kind of weird he hasn't gotten a lot of playing time, I guess because of the injury maybe or something. He was one of the guys I wanted the Jags to draft it, up there in the first round or second. But yeah, I mean, I think the Jags I think they have a really good shot against your linebackers because, you're not mentioning another guy, Dan Arnold, who we picked up from Carolina, who hasn't gotten a lot of touches this year because Ingram's been getting most of the work. But I think, that's going to be interesting. I think they're going to work him in, like kind of, you're going to see them rotate in and out. And Arnold and Lawrence had a really good connection last year, so I think Dan Arnold, we have two tight ends that are really good that can get open. I think Dallas Goedert obviously is going to be a threat there. I don't know who your second guy is, like your number two tight end.
Stahl. There's we got a lot, so it's just like we can go on and on for like an hour. But the main guy, I think, is Jack Stahl, Grant Calcaterra, the rookie out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think he got his first catch in the game against Washington, which was
that was like a 40-yard catch. Yeah.
So I mean, you guys probably have. It's going to be kind of an equal matchup there, like in regards to talent and depth. So, I think we're both pretty solid at the tight end spot.
Yeah, the tight end spot is going to be one of the best. But when you brought up Nakobe Dean and you wanted the Jacksonville Jaguars to draft him, I was shocked that we passed on him in the second round. We got Cam Jurgens at center, which we didn't need because Jason Kelce is about to retire after this year. And then we got Nakobe Dean in the third round. And I'm a Michigan fan, so that still hurts me because that whole championship game, my God, every time when I think about that, it hurts. But it's just like, bro, I still can't believe we got him. And he only had 3 snaps last game. Only 3. I think
it's hard to believe.
Our linebacker room is deep. Like, we have a lot of good linebackers there. And I'm just like, I don't think he's injured though. I don't think so because when you watch him at training camp, preseason, he looked fine. Nakobe Dean looked fine. And guys in the chat, let me know, is Nakobe Dean injured? Because to me, I don't think so. I just think that was like a rumor someone put out there, and somehow he fell all the way down to the
Yeah,
third round. It's just like incredible that happened. Like we
yeah.
needed more linebackers, and we got it.
I think he's going to be a player that to look out for. I think he just has. I feel like he got knocked kind of in the draft too because of his height, and he wasn't tall. People were saying he wasn't tall enough, but I mean the guy's super fast. He can tackle. He's just a playmaker. So I think you guys are gonna have a good player there, and he's gonna be really showing something the next like year or two. I think.
hmm And you forgot about another player we drafted, Jordan Davis. He didn't get a lot of snaps, but how do you feel about your Jaguars' offensive line against our defensive line? How do you feel about that?
I think I feel pretty good about our tackles. Jawan Taylor and Cam Robinson. So Taylor playing the right side, Robinson playing the left side. Going to be tough matchups there, especially the left tackle. Cam Robinson versus Josh Sweat, and I think what I'm really worried about is kind of the interior left side with Ben Barch and Luke Fortner. I think Fortner plays guard. He was a guy we drafted out of Kentucky, but Barch is kind of a project right now over at left guard. So I just worry. I worry Fletcher Cox is going to kind of blow up the middle there and wreak some havoc. So yeah, the Jaguars interior have to block well and open up some holes because
Yeah.
if we don't, you guys are going to have a field day back there.
Yeah, I mean, Fletcher Cox has been looking like his own. Last year, he lost it. Hargrave took a big step forward, then he fell off in a little bit towards the end. So, to me, with Fletcher Cox, it's like, this is it. We cut him in the beginning of the offseason. We got him back on a one-year deal. So, Fletcher Cox got something to prove this year. And then we got Jordan Davis, who he can pass the torch to. So, he's like, give me all this season. Let me play this season. Show you guys what I got. So for
Yeah.
me, it's just like Fletcher Cox, man. He's going to do good this year. And I think this will be a good game. Jags look great so far this season. And I think it will come down to the quarterbacks. I'm going to take the Eagles at home, but I think the Jags cover 7 easily. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a close game. I think my score prediction was like Jags win by a field goal, 30-27 or something. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I think the air, you're going to see a lot of passing, a lot of passing, especially from your side. They're going to be targeting the Jags secondary and trying to exploit it. I think we're going to try to work the run, do a lot of RPO, then, work over the middle, try to create some mismatches there with it's going to be hard with your secondary, but maybe we can pick on your linebackers and coverage. And so that's how I feel like it's going to go. It's just going to be a close game, but I think Doug's gonna win the revenge game and come away with a
Okay. All right.
yeah.
I mean, the Eagles are on a high horse right now. The Eagles are on a high horse, 3-0, and there's Eagles fans saying, like, Eagles content creators saying that we're gonna go like 16-1, 15-2. I hate those guys. I can't stand those guys, man. I can't. For me, I got us 11-6, and that was before this whole win streak or before this run. So for me, it's just like, bro, it's just insane. So how do you think the atmosphere is going to be? With the fans and everything in Jacksonville. How do you think that's going to be?
I'll tell you what, man. Philly fans are intense. I think it's going to be loud. I think it's going to be tough to hear snap counts and audibles, and you may get some false starts just because of our delay of games because of noise. I mean, that place is going to be rocking, especially because Doug being there. Um, but I think it's going to be a good game, man. I think that would be a fun one to go to. I wish I could go to it. But I mean, I don't know if I'd wear a Jaguars jersey because I might get some stuff thrown at me. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. It's going to be really fun, and I think it's you're going to have a lot of people watching it for sure.
Yeah. And when you were saying like fans throwing stuff, when I was a kid and I went to the 4th and 26 game, I was there. There was a bunch of Packers fans underneath. I was in a box. So I grabbed the empty beer bottles. I was throwing at them. I missed. I was so inaccurate, but I was like, that's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
Just
you guys are intense about your football. That's the
not just
we all
football,
know.
basketball too. I mean, did you see this whole thing with Ben Simmons that just went past? Like that
No,
whole
no,
thing? You watch basketball or no?
not a big professional basketball guy. I watch more college, but
Oh, who's your
and
college team? Florida?
yeah, Florida, and my wife likes Tennessee, so it's kind of
Oh,
it's
okay.
a house divided. But
Oh, wow. So I just gotta ask you this. We're gonna talk about the predictions like for each player. We're not just gonna talk about like the overall score. We'll talk about that later. So, what's your stats prediction for Trevor Lawrence?
oh wow, I don't know. I think he's gonna have uh, let's say 12 for 19, two touchdowns, 225 yards passing.
No interceptions
No
there.
interceptions.
Oh, okay. All right. We didn't get an interception last game, so we're due for one. I mean, we
Okay.
didn't get any against the Commanders. We got one against the Vikings, and I think we got like two on golf and the Lions and something like that. So the Eagles are due. The Eagles are due. So for me, for Hurts, I really wish I could say he could throw over 300 yards again. I'm just praying that will happen. But for me, I got like 225, uh, two touchdowns throwing, one rushing again, and he'll rush for like 60 yards. So it's just like for me, when it comes to Hurts, I want him to stay in the pocket. I want him to throw with his arm and keep showing the haters, including me, proving me wrong, saying that he can still throw. That he can still throw and do his thing. Like, you have no idea how tough this Eagles Twitter is on like Jalen Hurts and stuff. Like, I tweeted out, like, I think this was back in the summer, that Jalen Hurts was not going to reach 4,900 yards total, and I was like getting gunned from my head. I was just like, it's gonna happen, Mitch. It's gonna happen. He's gonna prove you wrong. How can you not be a supporter of your own quarterback and stuff like that? And I'm like, it's just a freaking tweet. It's just a tweet. Like, I'm sure like
Well,
that. Mm,
I could say, in all fairness, it gets pretty crazy with Jaguars Twitter as well with quarterbacks. So, one day they're loving you, the next day they're hating you. So, you just roll with it, man. You got to support your team and your quarterback. So, I feel you though.
yeah, but it's just like when you tweet one thing they don't like, I think it's funny because I gained followers from that. I gained like notoriety from that. So it's just like, bro, I'll keep on doing it. I'm like, I'll keep on doing it until I get what I want. So, hater online, bless you. What? Okay. Wow. But yeah. So, how do you think your running backs will do? Not like each running back. Like, how many rushing touchdowns and total yards? You think?
Yeah, I think at least two rushing touchdowns.
That's fair.
I think Robinson will probably get one. Hopefully, ETN gets one as well. Because I don't think he didn't get one in the last game. So hopefully he redeems himself. He dropped that one pass against the Commanders on fourth down. So maybe he gets the ball and punches it into the end zone. Who knows, man? We didn't talk about this much. Trevor Lawrence, man, he can run too. So
Yeah,
maybe
he
he
can
runs
run.
one in. Runs one in as well. So I think the running back's going to do well.
Yeah, I mean, once we stop you, because we stopped Dalvin Cook, we did not stop DeAndre Swift, and we shut down the Commanders' rush game. So it can happen. This defense is capable of that with Jonathan Gannon if he can actually, do the same thing again and make it work. That's one thing I have questions for is Jonathan Gannon, our defensive coordinator. It's just like, are you going to stick to what's working, or are you going to try to outsmart everybody and look bad at doing it? So I got to ask you this. How are your coaches, like defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think to start off with defensively, Mike Caldwell has had amazing game plan against the Chargers. A really good game plan against the the Colts as well. You know, they looked a little shaky in the Washington game, but that's okay. You know, it's the first game with a new
Right.
system. But I've been very impressed by him. So I think he's going to come in again with work hard and have scheme up a really good game plan. And he's going to give you a bunch of different looks. Like I said, he's going to give you 3-4. He's going to give you 4-3. He's going to have Walker dropping back into pass coverage. You know, lining up on the outside, lining up in like a 2 or a 3 technique maybe. He definitely mixes it up. So he's going to try to keep you guys guessing. And I think offensively, you know, Peterson, I think, is going to come into this game with a pretty solid plan as well. I think you're not going to see, I don't know, if the running game is working well, I think he'll probably stay with it. But you're going to see, in my opinion, probably a mixture of both. You know, pretty similar to what you saw in the Chargers game. You know, working the RPO, trying to soften up the Eagles, you know, defensive line, hopefully, and defense, and maybe go to the air, mix it up with some play action, and surprise you guys.
Yeah. So you were saying like changing from a 4-3 to the 3-4. Jonathan Gannon doesn't make that much adjustments from what I've seen, but it still works. So it's just like if Jonathan Gannon can make more adjustments when times are down, because we haven't been down yet in any games. We've been in the lead every single game. So it's just like I want to see us down by like a touchdown or a field goal or something to see the changes and adjustments that he will make. So hopefully the Jaguars can do that. Then the Eagles come back and win because that's what we did all last year. We were a second half team. And now this year, we only scored in like one quarter. Last game, we scored 24 points in the second quarter. Nothing in the first, nothing in the third, nothing in the fourth. So it's
Yeah,
just,
I mean, you have a great point there with tempo, right? Like, and that's going to be crucial for Jacksonville to. It's going to all be about tempo, and if we can score first and demoralize you guys at home a little bit in that first quarter, that first half, that's going to definitely help us because we haven't done a lot of that in the first half. We've, you know, gotten field goals and kind of haven't been able to convert on fourth down, especially in the LA game, that first series there. So I think if we can break out of that and kind of break the cycle, that could be that could turn the tide for the Jaguars.
yeah. It's just, I just want to see it down. I want to experience it this season. I mean, for me, it's just like, how is it fun if you're winning all the time and in the lead every single time? For me, I want to be down. I want to see us like prevail and stuff like that. Because last year we did that. We did that time and time again. And now our defense is so good and so powerful. It's just like, what do we do now? It's just like, do we let our defense like let up? I'm like, no, I don't want that. I just want to see them score and compete back and forth. And then maybe Nick Sirianni will change the game plan a little bit, change his play calling, and like, you know, panic a little bit. So for me,
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are gonna. I mean, you'll see some of that hopefully in the regular season where they kind of learn and feed off the adversity and kind of develop, you know, be able to play in those different like situations. But man, you guys, I think you did a great job getting James Bradbury. I mean, like that was huge. And I think your secondary is really good. And man, if you have a great secondary and you have decent offense, like I mean, it just makes life so much easier, right?
yeah. I mean, I'm still in shock that we did get Bradbury. I remember I was playing video games with my buddies and my phone was going off. And I'm like, what's going on? The Eagles get Bradbury. I'm like, wait, what? We got Bradbury from the Giants? Like,
Yeah.
I was shocked that they let him go. But Giants content creators are telling me, Mitch, we don't need him. Our team will be fine. I'm like, you lost to the Cowboys. You lost to Cooper Rush. So I'm like, you miss him now? I think you miss him now after that. So it's just like, bro, I just don't know. But it's like insane. So how's your team in the red zone? Like, is your team doing good in the red zone, bad? How are they doing?
I think they're doing okay. I mean, there were some misses definitely in the Washington game, especially
Mm-hmm.
like that one I was telling you about with ETN where he dropped that pass. It was like a gimme pass, you know, that he, you know, a third string running back could probably catch, and bring it down. And like he just dropped it, and I don't know what was going on. If it was noisy, if there was like, he just had kind of a mental, glitch there where he just wasn't. But yeah, we got to do better in the red zone. I mean, we did do better in the LA game. I mean, there was some tough. We didn't catch a break there with that Evan Ingram touchdown where he had, it got overturned because he didn't have 2 feet in. So we just got to know where we are, in the end zone, and the wide receivers have to keep, try to keep their feet in, drag those feet when they're trying to bring the ball down, and try to stay in bounds, and be able to block up front. And but I think we're going to get better. Doug Peterson's very aggressive with the play calling, and I like that, man, because like I felt like, with Doug Marrone and Urban, we weren't very aggressive. We were playing very conservatively, and like, we couldn't trick anybody. These opposing teams could just figure out our offensive scheme, and we haven't been able to do anything. So I think we're going to get much better over time.
Yeah, that's your. I mean, you're in a rebuilding year. How it's just like with your team, they're going the right direction. So things take time and time. I mean, with Doug Peterson, that's all he wanted for the Eagles. Take your time, go in the right direction, and look what happened. We got a Super Bowl in 2017. So it's just like insane. So how does it feel that your Jacksonville Jaguars are actually top of the division? I know we talked about this before we started, but do you see you guys getting like how many wins do you have your guys getting your team?
It's funny you asked that because like I've been surprised in the past couple of games that we were able to win. And I didn't have us. I don't even think I put out a prediction episode like for on the podcast, but I'd gone on another friend of mine, Payo Time. He's an LA Rams
Yeah, I know.
YouTuber.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a great guy. I had them, I think, between 5 and 7 wins this season, which to me is a success, right? Given the Jags won 3 games last year.
yeah.
So I mean, I that's really where I have them at. I mean, I hope we can stay on top of the division and keep our foot on the gas pedal and keep the success rolling. But I mean, it's tough, man. It's like any given Sunday, the Jags could lay an egg against a team that they should beat, like Detroit or something. They could lay an egg, and it's possible. So that's how I kind of had my prediction there of between 5 and 7 games
I
that they
mean,
win.
what is your schedule looking like after the Eagles? Who do you have next?
Oh, I think we have. Shoot, I'm trying to remember who we have. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
But our second half of our schedule gets really hard. Like
Oh yeah.
we play Kansas City. We play the Ravens. We play who else we play? Play Dallas, which without who's
Here
our
we
second?
go. So, who'd you play? Falcons.
Yeah, so we have
Here we go.
Indy's still a wild card in my opinion. I think we have success against them at home, but who knows how that game's going to turn out in Indy? It could Indy could sneak one by us and win. The Texans, I think we can beat them.
Yeah, I think so too. The Texans can compete, though. They can
Yeah,
compete.
it won't be a easy game. The Giants, that's
I want you guys to beat the Giants.
yeah.
Like,
I
obviously, I want you guys to beat the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely better than I thought they were going to be. The Broncos, I think we can beat.
The Raiders, I think you can beat now.
Yeah, the way they've been playing, I think we could probably beat the Raiders.
The Chiefs.
Chiefs, I think, will be an L probably. The Ravens will be an L. That'll be a tough game, but I think
you can beat the Lions.
I think we beat the Lions if we show up. The Titans, I think we can win one of those games at least. Probably win the one at home. The Cowboys might be a more winnable game now that Dak Prescott, if he's
coming back for week 6. He'll be
Okay.
back when we play the Eagles. So, I mean, when the Eagles play the Cowboys.
Yeah, so that game might be a tough one to win there.
You got the
Jets,
Jets.
I think we could probably beat them. Um,
Texans again, or do you have them splitting?
I think I had maybe two wins there. I did have two wins for the Jags, so beating the Texans there, and the Titans at home. I think, or no, that's so I have one win and one loss for the Titans. So I have us winning at home and then one loss in Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, that's like around 7, 8 wins right there.
Yeah,
So
that's a success in my book. I mean, just for them being their first year under Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's looking good for you guys. I'm like shocked. I can't remember the last time the Jacksonville Jaguars were. When was the last time you guys made the playoffs?
2017. So we made it. Yeah, we lost to the Patriots, and then you guys
yeah.
played them in the Super Bowl and beat them. So that was pretty awesome that you guys won. I wish it would have been an Eagles Jaguars Super Bowl, but that Miles Jack play where he stripped the ball and then they said he was down when he wasn't. That killed us. We probably would have won the game, but what can you do, man? You just gotta keep on plugging.
Right. So I just want to say thank you for. Wait, there we go. Thank you for coming on. It was fun just talking Eagles and Jaguars before the game. So you have 30-27. I actually have 33-30. I
Okay.
think it'll be that high scoring. I don't think the defense is going to shut everyone down like people are saying they are. So it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for having me on, man. This was a blast. Really appreciate it. You can find me on the Jaguar Podcast on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok at Jaguar Podcast, and you can find my podcast on Apple Podcasts and pretty much wherever you find podcasts.
All right, man. Yeah, thank you for coming, and yeah, we'll be in touch. And as for you guys, thank you for all for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. Go to his channel, hit the subscribe because the Eagles are gonna win. So I want all you guys over there to begin with. You're live streaming the game, right? I think I saw you in your video.
Yeah, I'll be doing live play-by-play. So if you want to stop by and
that's what I'm doing too, actually.
Yeah,
I'm doing that too. So my co-host who does it with me, he's going to the game. So I'm just like, I'll do one by myself. Okay. So it's just like, yeah, make sure you guys subscribe to both channels, hit that like, and yeah, guys, we'll catch you all later. Have a good night. Peace.
Take care.